NBC's Juan Hilliard is live in Burlington, Iowa. Here with me in studio, NBC senior business correspondent Christine Romans and Catherine Rampell, opinion columnist at The Washington Post and soon-to-be co-host of the evening edition of MSNBC's The Weekend. Congrats on that. So, Christine, Trump is scheduled to officially announce these tariffs. Rose Garden, 4 p.m. What more do we know?
Look, we know that he's going to put tariffs on countries. We don't know which ones, how much, and what products. So we're waiting to find out some clarity. The only thing that is certain is that we will certainly know what these reciprocal tariffs look like. Look, in the beginning, he said any tariff against the United States, he was going to just do the same one back. It's unclear if that's going to even be workable. This could be something a little more generic, like a certain percentage for a certain country, depending on how he feels they behave in free trade with the United States.
So, Vaughn, you are reporting from one of the front lines of this trade war, the farms of Iowa, and I wonder what folks there are telling you.
Right. And the home state of Ms. Romans, look, this is a place where they're not just looking at the announcement coming out of the White House here this afternoon, but they're anticipating the announcement of retaliatory tariffs from the likes of Canada, China, the EU, potentially Mexico, that are to come tomorrow or the days and weeks ahead because of the goods that are produced in the United States, not just manufacturing, but also agricultural goods, from lobster to cotton to hogs pork to corn and soybeans, cherries, apples, potatoes, you name it. What is exported overseas to markets across the world, there is consternation that if retaliatory tariffs are placed on those goods, like they were during the first Trump trade war from the first administration, that they are on the cusp of losing tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I want to let you listen to part of my conversation with Bob Hemisath. Now, notably, he voted for President Trump the last 3 elections, and we actually first met 7 years ago. But as you'll hear, at that point in time, there were some more tangibles. For example, renegotiating NAFTA with Mexico and Canada. This time around, as you'll hear him suggest, it's a little less clear what the goals of this administration are and what the end game is.
The question I would ask the administration is that I understand where you're at with the tariffs. I don't necessarily agree with the tariffs, but I want to know what markets are you looking at to open for my goods?
Essentially, what are the concessions from other countries that you're looking for?
Yeah, and where are you looking around the world to find opportunities for me to sell my products?
That's not clear to you right now?
No, it's not.
And that is where the question mark for so many of the folks on the ground here is what is the end game of this? And the last thing I would want to note on is back in that first trade war, there was $28 billion in relief payments that were ultimately doled out by the Trump administration to agricultural producers like farmer Bob Hemisath to make up for their financial losses. That same commitment has not been made to date by the Trump administration here as we look at a second trade war pending.
All right. Thank you for that, Catherine. There are people, and farming on a good day is rough, right? Like, this is not something you can control as a business. Having said that, I guess there are people who feel like it will be helpful to them, to their business. Who are they?
Well, anyone who might be close enough to Donald Trump or to the administration to get a carve out. We saw this last time around when he imposed tariffs. There was not really an orderly process to make the case for whether a product category or a country should be exempted. So it was just whoever had the right connections, which is part of the yet another reason why this trade policy is really destructive, because it opens up the opportunity for more cronyism and more corruption. Beyond that, last time around, we also saw that certain countries that may have gotten less ire from Donald Trump or fewer measures taken against them, they were beneficiaries. So, for example, when we imposed a lot of tariffs on China, Vietnam was a big victor. A lot of the manufacturing that was targeted in China did not move back to the United States. It moved to other countries where it was more competitive relative to China and certainly relative to the United States to do that kind of production. So I think we should expect that as well. China itself may even benefit this time around. We recently saw that China banded together with South Korea and Japan, 3 countries that historically have not really gotten along super well, economically or otherwise, to create some sort of new trade promotion zone. This was the first time they met for an economic dialogue in over 5 years. So, we're driving some of our closest allies, military allies and economic allies, into the arms of China, which may well see a second wind as a result of all of this.
Christine, this is not a closed down shop, but no leaks. Some people might speculate because they don't know yet what they're doing. We don't know what they know or don't know. But what are you hearing about the fact that they've decided to do it at 4 o'clock? Then they've only got a half an hour before the market closes.
Look,
and that's if they start on time, which they don't always.
There's only the reason why there are no leaks is because only one person has the answer, and that's Donald Trump. When he comes out and tells the cameras what he expects, markets close at 4 p.m.
Yeah,
so
that's
then
right,
there
not
won't
4:30,
right. So there won't be a reaction to the U.S. stock markets, but there could be in Asia. So we'll be watching for sure. I will say one thing: when you ask a question about who are the beneficiaries, I've been talking to a lot of people, working class people, asking them, hey, are you willing to trade off, higher grocery prices, higher car prices for the president's agenda? And a surprising number of people who are Trump voters tell me yes, that they want to focus on $37 an hour factory jobs in the U.S., not $3 an hour factory jobs in Mexico, and that president is on that. That's what they think he is driving toward, and they want to see manufacturing back in the United States. They want to look back what it was like in the 80s, and that's what they want. And so I'm surprised by the number of people I hear who can game out the vision longer term and say, I'm willing to take the pain right now.
Well, that assumes, of course, that this actually results in more manufacturing jobs, which I am very skeptical of, particularly since the inputs that manufacturing companies in the U.S. need will also face higher tariffs.
4 o'clock, we will find out, we think. Christine Romans, Catherine Rampell, appreciate you both being here on set with me. And